Good morning, good morning, good morning. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and you are breathing. Today is Tuesday, March the 26th, 2024, and I would like to welcome you all to This is Just a Thought with Stephen Cornegay. Hey, before we go any further, hit that like and subscribe button along with that bell icon so you can get notified when I drop these podcasts. Keep you in the loop. Hey, as always, there's going to be a lot of interesting topics we are going to discuss, or I'm going to discuss. Um, and also, hey, in addition to hitting that like and subscribe button along with that bell icon, get in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about the topics I'm talking about. Is it worthy to be discussed? Or am I right or wrong? Or maybe I should just shut up? Whatever the case may be, let me know. Get in that comment section. Let me know. Hey, you won't offend me. I promise you that. You will not offend me. I've heard it all before. Been on this earth 50 years and I have heard a bevy of accolades and degradation. I just have. Just have. All right. Today's word of the day, cavalcade, which means a series or procession. Cavalcade. Hope everyone, like I said, is enjoying their Tuesday, beginning of the work week almost. Man, the weather here in North Carolina is looking pretty good. Temps are in the 60s. However, at night it drops down to freezing or near freezing temps. I told you guys, the winter's not over with yet. I don't care if it is the meteorological start of spring was last week. This is the South. I mean, it's just the beginning of spring. We are due for some more cold days and nights. We just are. Everyone knows that. I mean, if you've been around long enough, you know that little freakishly warm days we had last week with temps that got up in the 70s, we all knew that wasn't going to last for long. So yeah, temperatures are in the 60s. At night, it dips down to like maybe some spots they get below freezing at 29 or 30. But so far here, I mean, we've gotten some frost, no freezing yet, but it's a coming. It's coming because we're going to get rain later on in the week. This is the spring. This is the spring. But it's still beautiful outside. It just is. You know, some days when that temperature hits that the highest point of the day, hey, I just go sit outside and just relax, collect my thoughts. Just do. All right, let's move along here. Also, man, hey. I haven't really talked about it like that, and I promise you I will because it is March Madness, and it has been mad. I want to say, man, after the first few games were held, everyone fills out the bracket every year for the March Madness. After the first few games were held, well, one in particular, those brackets were shot. They were ripped to shreds. The shocker had to be that Oakland Kentucky game. Oakland ended up beating Kentucky. Little known school out of nowhere. As I always say, those underdogs, those big name, high end schools, they go in there thinking they got it in the bag, and surprise, 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 it don't work out like that, homie. Because those low ranking teams, or those teams that just got in by the skin of their teeth, they're hungry and they're fighting, and they ain't going out without a fight. Which case in points, me too. North Carolina State Wolfpack is still in it. They're going to the Sweet 16. Yes, they are. Got about three, maybe, got three or four teams for North Carolina. You got UNC, Duke, North Carolina State, and I believe Clemson is still in it also. But State, man, they knocked off Oakland. I told you Oakland beat Kentucky, and then State ended up getting them in the next round after they won their game, and they knocked them out, and so they're moving on to the Sweet 16. North Carolina State, after about 30 years or more, has finally made it. It looks like they have arrived. I don't want to wish them, put any bad luck on them by saying they may be it, but I love an underdog team. If you know anything about North Carolina State, their basketball program hasn't seen too many glory days. Really and truthfully, the last time they were at prominence and talked about, and that was they were called the Cardiac Pack and a Cinderella team that was back in 1984 under Coach Jim Valvano, where they won the national championship. So really, since 1984, they've had a few good runs down throughout the years. But really, since 1984, that was the last time they've been to the big dance. And they might be going this year. They are looking good. They are that underdog team that ain't going out without a fight. They are throwing haymakers every time they step out on the court. And they're looking pretty good. They just are. UNC, of course, they have advanced. Duke, surprisingly, this may be their last round. Duke, they're not looking too tough. Not what you would expect from Duke. I got to be honest with you. They just are. And I'm not a Duke fan. Of course, you guys know, hey, UNC all the way, all day. But I tell you, they're not looking like the Duke program that I'm used to seeing. Let's just say that. So they're hanging on. They're fighting, even though they beat, I believe they beat Wagner to advance to that Sweet 16. But we'll see what happens after that. I don't see them going much further. I just don't. As far as Clemson goes, hey, Clemson, they're looking good. They're fighting too. You got to love these teams that fight. I just do. And me personally, like I always say, I love an underdog. I love to see them scrap it out, duke it out, and get what they so richly have fought for. And that appears to be what is happening now. So I'll keep you guys updated on that. And also, hey, starting this season, man, this weekend, I haven't talked about it, the USFL and the World League. They've combined both football organizations, and they're coming out with a new schedule, and they're starting this Saturday. So I'll get to watch a little bit of football over the spring and summer. I ain't gonna complain. I'm gonna watch it. Hey, some of those guys out there, I gotta admit, they look pretty damn good. They look pretty good. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated with that also, man. And I usually don't do this, but man, when it broke yesterday, after I got off work, I kept hearing these alerts and ding, 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 down all on my phone. I was like, well, what in the world's going on? I usually don't do entertainment news, but man, I'm sure you guys have all heard. They raided P. Diddy's homes in California and Miami yesterday. They raided him. If you've been up under a rock the past few months, he got into a little bit of legal hassle and trouble, and now it may be some criminal charges because apparently him and one-time girlfriend, entertainer singer named Cassie, I believe that was her name. She accused him of some sexual assault, some maybe even close to rape, prostitution, pimping. I don't know what you call it. It was just a mess. But whatever the case, it never went to trial. It ended up, Puffy gave her some money. I won't say she dropped the charges or allegations, but she certainly did disappear. Haven't heard anything else about it. But it may have opened Pandora's box because those two homes were raided yesterday by the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security. They put his sons in handcuffs in the home in California. They weren't arrested. I believe they were just being detained while they served the search warrant and went through the house looking for whatever they wanted. Apparently, they took some computers out of there, some cell phones, some other devices. Wow, Puffy, what in the world, man? Now it's been said that he was in Miami. And a video has now surfaced where him being in Miami, they can see him pacing back and forth. He was at the airport waiting for his jet to come in or land or whatever, his private jet to take him in wherever he was going. He may have ran, they're speculating, or he may not have. He may have gone to one of those countries that has no extradition. But he could be seen at the airport, somewhere around the airport, walking back and forth, pacing, looking obviously shaken. Because also at that airport, they took his cell phones also. Damn, Puffy. What you got going on, man? That money. That money and not using good sense will get you every time. It just will. Um, that old saying with money and power, a lot of folks go blind or they lose their minds. It appears here because these are all still allegations. We don't know, but I can honestly tell you whether it be for what they're saying, the pimping or pandering for prostitution, or the kidnapping, taking women across state lines for sexual favors or endeavors or whatever, however you want to word it. Or now there's a guy that came out and said that, hey, he was inappropriately touched and groped by Puffy while he was working on his album sometime back in 2022 or whatever, what have you. Whatever the case may be, long short, when the feds come a knocking, they got something on you. And they ain't coming to break no bread with you. They don't want no tea and squirts. They're coming to get you. Puffy. Wow, what in the world, man? What in the entire world is going on? Well, this would follow and continue the trend of what's been going on throughout the country as it relates to these high-profile celebrities or whatever, what have you, and their extracurricular activities behind closed doors. And some folks become upset and disgruntled and finally decide to spill the beans. Mm, 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 mm. But Daddy be my pal. How? I'm not laughing at the guy. I'm not. But man, it kind of, with all of this that's going on with, I got to be honest, with all of this is going on with, um, folks coming out and saying this, that, or whatever, or the third, yada, 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 this happened to me with this celebrity or whatever, what have you. I got to ask the question, and I'm not victim blaming, not by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm sure many of you have asked the same question I have. Why, what in the world? Why would you wait years later to express your dismay at how you were treated by this individual or these individuals? Um, Money, maybe. Money has exchanged hands, or the thought of you possibly getting money. Because I gotta be honest with you folks. I don't care how rich you are, or how powerful you are. I don't care what connects you have. You violate me, that's gonna be your day. You're gonna meet your maker. I'm gonna try with every essence and fiber of my being. You are going to meet your maker. Ain't no holding back. Ain't no, oh, I'm so dismayed and this, he's so powerful. He or she is so powerful. I don't know what to do. Yada, 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 rah, rah, rah. I can assure you, I can figure out what to do to defend myself. And I don't need no quarter damn law. Yeah, you're going to meet your maker that day. But either way, whether I'm at a loss of words. And, hey, like I said, when that money comes in and you can get people to do and say whatever you want, a lot of folks lose their minds with it because it appears Puffy is the latest victim on the chopping blocks. Wow. I'll keep you guys updated on that. As I said, they're saying that he has left the country. Maybe he knew what was coming down the pipe. Or maybe he knows what is coming down the pipe. Wow. We'll see where this goes. We will see where this goes. All right. Let's go get it. This next piece I'm going to talk about here, it came out last week. I got to be honest with you. It came out last week, and I want to say I kind of saw it coming, And then I want to say, well, I really didn't see it coming. It was just me thinking out loud to myself. There's no way in the world it could happen. But apparently, it hasn't happened. But the story broke last week and made me think that it very well could happen. North Carolina politics is front and center once again. Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, gubernatorial hopeful, he finds himself, or he could find himself, in the hot seat. Because what has come out, apparently the state of Connecticut, the lovely state of Connecticut, the nutmeg state. Yeah, they are a bunch of nuts up there, I gotta say. They just are. The nutmeg state, there are some politicians there, and their state legislature has gotten together and they have wrote a letter to economic developers within the state of Connecticut saying, hey, long short, we need to get in touch with some of these companies that are trying to move and relocate to North Carolina. Google, Microsoft, whatever, what have you. You know, all these companies are coming to North Carolina because of its, for whatever reason. We need to get with some of these companies and tell them that they need to relocate to Connecticut. Why, you ask? Well, apparently, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, what they term his rhetoric, may just turn some of these progressive companies off, and not just these companies, these corporations, but the employees that they hire may not want to relocate to North Carolina. Now you're saying to yourself, once again, you had to be up on the rock. We all know Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, he doesn't bite his tongue. Now, these Connecticut state lawmakers, they've come out, they flat out, they have said, hey, we need to allure some of these businesses away from North Carolina by highlighting his controversial rhetoric. His inflammatory statements towards those members of the LGBTQ community, women, and his stance on abortion. Wow. Now, he has had I gotta be honest with you. Like I said, you had to be up on the rock if you haven't heard him speak. And he won't back off of what he says. He stands by it every time he says it. He'll tell you quick, yeah, I said it. I meant it. I can't deny what I said. I said it and I meant it. And it is what it is. So apparently these lawmakers in Connecticut, they're saying, hey, we need to get to some of these major corporations and lure them here, because we are a state, a progressive state that wants to boost our economy, and we welcome any and everyone to our state. Well, I mean, hey, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson, as I've said many times about him, he's not going to stray away from what he says. If he says it one time, he'll say it again. If he says it again, he'll say it again. He said it. He just did. That's his personal view and his personal belief. Is it bad for the state of North Carolina that in the past decade or so has risen from economic despair after we all know manufacturing jobs went away? We all know the agricultural economy, that has all been gone away because of the tobacco. But somehow, some way, North Carolina has bounced back. And what not only, surprisingly, not only are, well, suspectedly, you know, the Democratic side, they're saying, hey, his rhetoric is bad for business. But there have been some Republicans also that have said, quite honestly, he might be bad for business. All the gains we've made may go to naught because of what he says. His stance on the LGBTQ issues, his inflammatory statements about women, and they are not called to leadership roles, and his stance on abortion. Can that be a problem? Yeah. You know, a lot of those companies, Google and Microsoft, or whatever, what have you. A lot of those companies, hey, they were home office at one point in time in a lot of progressive states like California, and their workforce, they do have members of the LGBTQ community, and they have taken stances with them. They do have, of course, they have women, and they will stand with women's rights. Women's rights to not only have a voice in the workplace, but their reproductive rights, their health rights as it relates to abortion. There are those companies, just the couple that I just named, they are not only corporate sponsors, but they are responsible corporate sponsors. So how's that going to look, them moving to North Carolina when you got gubernatorial hopeful, what if he becomes the governor, Mark Robinson there, and he's still carrying on and saying what he believes and what he holds to near and dear to his heart? It's a direct contradiction. So the state of Connecticut says, hey, they have seen a little light, and they're saying, hey, we could do better than that. We could welcome you guys here. Now, some Republicans, spokesman for Robinson's campaign, has came out and said since the Democrats have taken over the state of Connecticut, they've raised taxes and spending, and they have created a parade of jobs and businesses packing up and leaving their state. They should just stop with their silly PR stunts like this and take a page out of North Carolina conservatives' book. Cut taxes on family and businesses, reduce the burdensome regulations, and stop wasteful government spending. Yeah. Now, when they say the cutting taxes part, North Carolina, apparently we may have a high income tax, or sales tax, I should say, but our corporate tax, they're saying that's one of the best, if not the East Coast, could be throughout the country. So that's the allure here in North Carolina to a lot of these big name corporations, are the corporate tax breaks. You hear a lot of times around election time, a lot of these campaigners or these hopefuls that want to be in office, they'll come out and say, hey, they're giving all these corporations these major tax breaks, and they're putting the blame or giving the rest of the tax bill to the hard working class. I've heard that. I know you have heard that. I know you feel it also, because I do. I just got to be honest with you. But that's the price of doing business. If you want to increase and uphold your economy, you have to give a little incentive to these corporations to come. And apparently North Carolina has figured it out, and they have, because these companies are coming. Now, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson isn't in office yet. He's just running. What in the event that he does get in office? Because like I said earlier, there have been some Republicans that have expressed their dismay and concern with him and his politics, his thinking. Now, so could it be that another human being's way of thinking and his belief is so troublesome and so burdensome that you would compromise that mindset, or that belief, that what you as an individual, you have every right on this earth to say and think what you feel. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, you do have every right on this earth to say and think what you feel, as long as it's not hurting or detrimental to anyone, someone else. Get it, got it, understand it. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But are we really of that mindset that we can really say to these, well, I guess when you run for political office, you do have to be mindful of what you say and make sure it's not hurtful to someone else. But what about the individual person? Just because a certain amount of people agree with one thing, there's always going to be an opposite that doesn't agree with your way of thinking or your beliefs. So what about those that don't agree? You're just out of luck. I gather. Because what these lawmakers have done in Connecticut, and what some of these lawmakers here in North Carolina, because there are quite a few Democrats that have came out, there are some Republicans that are saying, hey, the progression we've made in this state within building our economy, it could all be in jeopardy because of Lieutenant Governor's Mark Robinson's rhetoric as it relates to the LGBT community, women's rights, women's reproductive rights, women's health issues, health rights issues, yada, 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 rah, 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 shish, boo, bah. Long short, they want that money. They want that money, and they aren't going to hesitate to defend it. So much so, the state of North Carolina, the Chamber of Commerce, which they say has in the past spent millions of dollars backing GOP candidates, said in a statement after the March 5th primaries here in North Carolina, in which Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson got that nomination, or he is the nominee for the governor for the GOP, along with Josh Stein, who is the nominee for the Democratic Party. They flat out said a startling warning of the looming threats to North Carolina's business climate because of that win for Mark Robinson. He's a threat. His rhetoric, it's a threat. It's going to upset the apple cart. Everything those progressives, Democrat, Republicans, conservatives, liberals, whatever you want to word it, everything that has been, every gain that has been made to boost North Carolina's economy and put them right there up top with other states as it relates to getting those corporate businesses here is in jeopardy. Mm, 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 mm. So what say you? Is this rhetoric too much? Or is that's just his thought and belief and you can't see anything wrong with it? You don't find any quarrels with it? It could go either way for me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I've often been accused of thinking too much or feeling some type of way when it doesn't go with the norm. But it could go either way for me. I mean, that's his opinion. That's his belief. Do I agree with any and everything he says? No, I don't. I'm not supposed to. I'm a human being. I can't agree with everything another human being says. If I do, I'm just a sheep being led to slaughter. But it does raise the interesting question of, are North Carolina, the state as a whole, are we willing to sacrifice everything that has been gained within the past 10, 15, 20 years because of someone's belief? And saying, hey, I don't want to go with the new social norm and acceptance, or the new political norm or acceptance, because this isn't the first time North Carolina has gotten a little bit of heat. You know, back in 2016 with that HB2, that bathroom bill, when that bill came out, and there was a big debate, and there was a lot of companies and corporations. There were some sports events, a lot of concerts that were canceled because Lieutenant or Governor McCrory signed that bill and said, no, you know, those for the LGBTQ community, you don't have the right to use, you have to use the bathroom you were assigned at birth. So that started a firestorm. You know, at that time, the NBA All-Star Weekend was supposed to happen in Charlotte. Didn't happen. They moved it to Atlanta, I believe. Well, I believe it was Atlanta or Houston. There were some companies that were supposed to come here. PayPal was supposed to come. PayPal said no. There were some entertainers that were supposed to come and do concerts here. They said no. Bruce Springsteen. So, yeah, his opinion, his beliefs, his talk, his rhetoric, it can hurt North Carolina. It happened once before. So does that mean he needs to stop running his mouth? Stop saying what he believes, what he feels? He's not the only one that feels that way. This we know. Like I said, you can go back to 2016, 8 years ago. And, you know, they're saying, hey, when McCrory signed that bill into law, the backlash was so horrible, it took, you know, it almost took North Carolina under, because Like I said, the companies, the corporations weren't coming. The entertainment industry wasn't coming. The sports industry was getting hammered also. The economy, that money, we really needed it for the economy for the state of North Carolina. There were so many millions and millions and millions of dollars that was going to be generated, and it was going back to the state, and it could help us build and expand more. But it didn't come because of that HB2 bathroom bill. So, are we going to go back down that road again? Because those in not just those in Connecticut, but it's been said by even some of the Democrats here. It's been said nationally throughout the country with President Trump running for president again that the Republican Party is trying to take us back. And just like I asked then, I'll ask again: take us back where? Where are we going? If you stand still and allow a political organization to take you back because of what you believe in your lifestyle you want to live, and you're going to allow them to hold and hinder your lifestyle, you might need to be where you're at, right? Standing right there. Now, as far as it goes, a woman's right to reproduce, not my fight, not my plight, not my, well, a woman's right to abortion, I should say, or reproduce, however you want to word it. Not my fight, not my plight, not my problem. I don't have a dog in a fight. I'm just throwing it out there. Well, stand by to stand by. We'll see what happens here in North Carolina, because this right here, if you're thinking to yourself, this is small, this is minuscule, this is nothing, there's no way in the world that can't happen, that can happen. Look back at 2016, that bathroom bill. It can't happen. Maybe it will hurt North Carolina, maybe it won't. Or maybe some of those corporates. The thing with those corporate sponsors, and you got to understand, yeah, the corporations, the big wigs, the CEOs, financial officers, whatever, yada yada yada, rah, 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 they get these big deals, but it's the people that they hire that have to relocate. And how are they going to feel relocating to a state that they feel or they know isn't welcoming and open to their life choices or even their health as it relates to women's right to abort? At least that's what the state of Connecticut is saying. They said, hey, come on in. You ain't got nothing to worry about. We're loving, welcome. Your life is whatever you choose. You won't get any flack from us as a state. Okay. I mean, hey, it is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. But I just wanted to put that out there. It's just something to think about. Just a thought. Can that really affect North Carolina like that? Again. So, hey, we'll see what happens. We will see what happens. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go and skedaddle. And as always, thank you for listening. Hey, get in that comment section. Hit that like, subscribe, and that bell icon. Get in that comment section. Let me know. Can this negatively affect North Carolina? Is Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson right when he says, hey, I'm going to stand 10 toes down and I'm not changing or moving away from nothing, regardless of politics? It's high time we change our way of thinking and beliefs and allowing corporations and government officials to dictate what we say and what we think and how we feel in our life when we know we don't really feel or think that way? Or is it right for the state of Connecticut to come on in and say, hey, come on over here, we got you. We'll hold you down. Maybe. And let me know also what you guys think about Diddy, Puff Daddy. Wow, Puffy. It ain't looking good for you, homie. Like I said, when the feds come and knocking, they ain't coming to break bread with you. They got you. They just going through the legal steps. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know. Hey, as always, hey, thank you for listening to This Is Just a Thought with Stephen Carnegie. Amen.